Welcome to Murder and Everything Else. My name is Joy.
And my name is Cheryl. Joy and I are two very old friends who love to talk about murder and everything else. So, Joy, have you been hearing about the updates on murder suspect Brian Koberger
No.
from the Idaho 4 killings from,
No.
what is it now, a couple years ago? Well, so I don't think it's new evidence. I think it's evidence that's now being released to the public because I think there was a gag order and all this stuff. But they reviewed his Amazon purchases, and 8 months before the murder, he bought a K-bar knife, which is alleged to be the kind of knife used in the killings. He bought the knife sheath and a knife sharpener. The thing that makes it even more suspicious is that after the murders, there's click evidence. So they can go through your history, and they can see what you even clicked on or what you typed in to do a search on, on Google or whatever. I mean, they can see so much. So after the murders, there's click evidence that he looked at K-bar knives again and sheaths. So it's kind of weird, right? Why, if you already had one, why are you looking again after the murders?
Right.
Because maybe you lost it. Maybe you don't have it anymore. Like, how many K-bar knives?
Maybe you threw it out the window of your car on
an
overpass.
Right. So the other thing that came out was the selfie that he took 4 hours after the murders. He's clearly in his bathroom. He's freshly showered. His hair is damp, and he's giving a thumbs up.
Ew.
So he's going to have to probably get on the stand if he wants to explain that.
Right.
I mean, that's circumstantial, but it's pretty creepy.
It's so creepy.
I cannot wait to watch. Well, I'm just hoping that they televise this trial. I really want to watch it.
Oh God.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the latest on that.
Wow. That's crazy. I mean, do you have any info on like dates, like when it's going to go to trial? Because I feel like they just keep kicking that can down the road.
No, I think it's still in August. I don't know what the exact date is, but
you got a big summer ahead, Cheryl.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, anyway, folks, murder is not funny. All right.
As I laugh.
I got a really cool update, Cheryl. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
I am here to tell you that we have added a new country to our list of countries. And I'm going to introduce a new thing that I'm going to do from now on. And I'm going to welcome the new country in the language spoken in their country, the predominant language. Okay. So this country is Germany. And so I would like to say, Willkommen Deutsche Zuhörer. And that means welcome, German listeners.
Yay! What she said.
I have butchered the pronunciation.
We apologize.
Why don't you reach out and let us know? But I think that's going to be fun to maybe learn how to say some things in other languages. Cheryl, do you know how to say anything in German?
No. Nothing. Nada.
I like
nada. That's Spanish.
Yeah, right. Really? You don't know how to say anything at all?
Der Wiener Schnitzel.
There you go. That means the wiener.
Is that German? Our one listener in Germany has just clicked off.
He took a look at his Wiener Schnitzel and he said, I am not going to listen to this.
Oh, God.
When I was a kid in elementary school, they taught us how to sing Silent Night from start to finish in German for whatever reason. And I
Oh.
found myself on Christmas Eve once on a train in like Salzburg, Austria, or in Vienna, Austria, somewhere like that. And um, they speak German in Austria. So I sang to the conductor, and he
Oh,
and
wow.
he didn't make me get a ticket.
Oh my God. What?
I got
That's
a
so
I
cool.
got a free train ride. Isn't that exciting? I mean, guys,
That's so
don't try
cool.
this right now. I was 18
Don't
or
try this at
19.
home.
This was like many years ago, and I don't know if he was quite taken or distressed
He
by
felt
my
sorry for
German.
you.
Yeah, he probably was like, there is
This poor girl.
there is a tourist that's lost. I think she's had a head injury and she's singing something to me. I don't know what it is. It's probably an
Yes, no.
American tradition.
Oh my God.
He's
That is
probably he probably contacted the American consulate and they would like probably revoked my visa and my passport
right.
after that. But anyway,
Oh my
Cheryl, do
God.
you have any updates?
I do have an update. So, you know who Selena is, right? I know you do, but do our listeners know who the singer Selena is? Remember she was killed by her, what was an assistant, that
Manager.
woman, Yolanda. Remember she was killed by her?
Yeah, like
Well,
a fan club president or something.
yes, that's what it was. She was the fan club president. And she came up for parole, so she had life with the possibility of parole after 30 years.
Oh,
So she
whoa.
just came up for that and she was denied.
Ooh,
So, yeah. So
interesting.
no parole for you, Yolanda.
How long ago was that?
That was, well, 30 years.
A
She just
long
came up
ass time ago.
30 years. She came up for parole her after 30 years. So it's 30 years ago.
Wow.
Man, I'm telling you, time is like,
That's crazy.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, she was denied. For all you Selena fans out there, her killer is not going to walk free.
Ugh.
Not yet.
I'm
Hopefully.
sure her Selena's family is very happy about that because,
Hmm.
I
But
mean,
the
it was kind of also like, wasn't this woman like overly obsessed with her? And then like
oh
she
yeah.
also, I think, didn't she also have like some like fixation as far as like sexual fixation on her? One of the things I will say, Cheryl, that I like about 2025 is we know so much more about obsession, psychological disorders, mental illness, things like that. And we have so much more information and I mean with the internet and stalking and all that kind of shit, I feel like Selena's manager, I don't know, like maybe they would have run a background check on her and figured out that she was an unsavory character. Or maybe Selena would have felt more comfortable reaching out and saying, because I think they were like besties. Like this woman was like kind of like a surrogate parent, but she just got super, super like obsessed with her.
I don't think she was a surrogate parent. Her father, I can't remember so much about her mother, but her father was very involved. I want to say he was her manager, but don't quote me on that. But I think that they gave the woman that killed her a lot of responsibility because they trusted her at first, and then she started acting weird, and so then Selena pulled back. And that's when I think she was offended and Yolanda was offended and hurt. And I think she stole from them
Oh.
something. I think she started to show her true colors. And I believe, okay, I didn't research this because I wasn't going to go into Selena's story, but I believe she was fired. I believe they fired her because didn't trust her. Something. I don't know the details. Maybe we'll do an episode on that. But anyway, her killer has not been paroled. The only thing is once they come up for parole, isn't it every 2 years after that? Maybe it differs from state to state, but I know in the one with Susan Smith, remember I talked about that, how every 2 years the poor family and the father of the boys is going to have to go to the parole hearings. 2
Right.
years is a long time. 2 years goes by so fast, you know. And then just thinking, oh, maybe this time, this is the one where it's going to fall in her favor and she gets out. The stress of that is like, I can't even imagine. But anyway,
I know.
Selena's killer will not be set free yet.
At least not right now. Charlie Manson and all those Manson like followers, they would come up for parole. I felt like every 2 years, and then he would they'd start asking questions, and then he'd unravel, and then
Yeah.
he'd start freaking out and helter skelter. And so I don't know. Also, we don't know what those parole hearings are like. I'm sure they
Right.
look for specific things. And also, I happen to know that if you've been sent to the hole a lot, if you have not had model citizen behavior when you're incarcerated, a lot of times they're not going to grant you any kind of clemency.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who knows what kind of an inmate she's been. But anyway.
Correct.
Well, rolling on to shout outs. Remember a couple of episodes ago, you were freaking out about leaf blowers?
Do I?
Yesterday, I headed out of doors for my annual raking of the yard. And I swear to you, Cheryl, I am so sore, and I only did a quarter of the yard. So, because my yard is really effing big. So I am here to shout out landscapers all over the world and all the magic that you make happen, because raking is no joke. My shoulders hurt, my neck hurts, my back hurts, even my legs and my stomach hurt. And I don't know why, because I mean, it's almost like I went snow skiing yesterday. And also, I have really bad gas today. I wonder if the raking somehow prompted the gas.
We need to have a segment. Well, no, I think a lot of people would give it a thumbs down, but I feel like we need to have a segment of some kind of Joy's gas meter today. Where is she on the scale? Oh, yes.
Anyway, Cheryl, how about your shout out?
My shout out is to the internet and being able to look up pronunciation, just like you were able to look up how to say welcome in German. Today's episode has a lot of names that I wanted to do the best I could and not just pronounce things willy-nilly, although I have to say I don't know if it's going to be right, because you can't trust everything on the internet. But I just want you to know, everyone, that I tried my hardest to make sure I pronounced all of these names right. But anyway, shout out to the internet.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, Google Translate is a fucking baller. When I first started translating, I can tell you that Google Translate was a hot mess, but now it's unbelievable. They make so few errors. Now, I'm just talking about English to Spanish. I don't know about English to German or English to Chinese or whatever. But the English to Spanish, Spanish to English is pretty impressive.
Yeah, who knows what we said to the German listener?
Exactly.
We apologize if it was something obscene.
Sincere apologies in advance. Anyway, guys, Cheryl. Okay. Oh, I also have to issue a retraction this week. The other week I said, when Cheryl did the episode on what episode was that? Oh, it was Where is Huxley? Where is Huxley? I said that when Cheryl laughs, when I made that joke about Hunter Biden, Cheryl belly laughed, and I said, that's my kryptonite, is getting Cheryl to laugh. Obviously, kryptonite was what kills Superman. So it's not my kryptonite. It's the opposite. It's like pouring gas on the flames for me. When I can get Cheryl to belly laugh, all I want to do is start cracking more jokes and see if she'll belly laugh even more. So please, I'm excited that nobody listened to that episode, and so there was no feedback on that. But just so you know, Cheryl laughing is not my kryptonite. It's the opposite. Okay. So anyway, this week Cheryl is heading right back to murder. And Cheryl, tell us what you're going to dismember for us this week?
Gosh, okay. So the reason that I wanted to do this, I'm going to be talking about two stories that were in the news quite a bit. They got a lot of news coverage, and so this happened a long time ago. But the reason I wanted to pull it out of the archives is because I don't know if you heard of the story, but I saw the headlines from January of this year. So it was only a couple of months ago, January 2025, in Quetta, Pakistan. A Pakistani man was suspected of killing his US-born 15-year-old daughter in a so-called honor killing after she apparently refused to stop sharing videos on TikTok. The shooting happened on a street in the southwestern city of Quetta on Tuesday. The suspect, Anwarul Huq, okay, I looked that up, initially said that an unidentified gunman shot and killed his daughter before he confessed to the crime. Investigators found that the family had an objection to her dressing, lifestyle, and social gathering. So because that happened so recently, I wanted to talk about two stories, like I said, that happened a long time ago, but they were in the media a lot. Before I forget, my sources are Wikipedia, Forensic Files, Fox 2 Now, and Oxygen. So honor killings, if you can call it that, most often involve the murder of a woman or girl by male family members due to the perpetrator's belief that the victim has brought dishonor or shame upon the family name, reputation, or prestige. Now, these two stories, I try to look for one. I try, and if anybody knows of one, email it to us. Reach out to us, please. Is our Gmail still working? Has it been shut down for non-use, non-activity? I tried to look for an Asian one because you and I both are, are Asian, and Asian is all about like honor, right, and not dishonoring your family,
right?
And surprisingly, not to like offend anyone, but I could not find an Asian story. There are Asian stories where the kids kill the parents because the parents don't like the Americanization of the kids, right? And the kids want to be free, and so they kill the parents. But I couldn't find where the parents killed the children. So these are the two, like I said, that were in the media. I'm not singling out any ethnicity. If I could find one in Asian culture, I talk about it. So send it to me if y'all know about it. But the first case I'm going to talk about is a girl named Tina Issa. Palestina Zain Issa, who was called Tina, named after Palestine. What? Palestine.
Is it Palestina? You said Palestinia.
Oh, did I? I knew something was wrong. See? Oh, gosh.
Palestina?
It's Palestina, but she was called Tina.
Tina. Oh, that's
okay.
Cute.
Palestina Zain Issa, named after Palestine, was born on December 3rd, 1972 in Mato Grosso, Brazil. She was the youngest of 7 siblings. She lived in the southern portion of the city of St. Louis, Missouri, in an apartment complex, and attended Dewey Junior High School and Roosevelt High School in St. Louis. Her father was a Muslim Palestinian, Zain Issa is his name, who originated from Beitine, West Bank. Her mother, Maria Issa, was Brazilian and a Roman Catholic. Tina was of German, Italian, Palestinian, and some Amerindian descent. She learned Arabic and Portuguese from her parents and Spanish during her time living in Puerto Rico. Tina was a high school athlete. She was popular. She was a straight-A student. She wanted to become an airline pilot, which I thought was so cute. She wanted to be an American. She wanted to be independent, travel, have a career. She listened to American popular music such as dance, rap, R&B, and rock. Zain and Maria Issa were immigrants from Palestine and ran a small grocery store in St. Louis, Missouri. And like most Palestinians, they went into the food business, a common tradition in America. On November 6, 1989, Tina was working the night shift at a fast food restaurant. According to the Isas, Tina arrived home around midnight and there was an argument. Tina wanted to live on her own and demanded that her parents give her $5,000 to support herself. And when they refused, they said Tina pulled a knife from her backpack and threatened them. In the tussle, Zane said he turned the knife on his daughter in self-defense, and his
Whoa.
wife Maria also corroborated Zane's claim of self-defense. Tina's classmates, however, told police that Tina often rebelled against her parents and their old world traditions. Since January 1989, Tina had been in a romantic relationship with a 20-year-old African American named Cliff Walker. He was very
Whoa.
what?
What? Since 1989. You said she was 15.
Yeah, she was 16 when she was killed.
Okay. Well, I will tell you that that's one crazy rebellion because I I I'm sorry. Let me just hear the rest of the story before I go off on what was going on with that parent-child relationship.
Okay. So Cliff was very bright and creative, but Tina's parents were angry about their relationship. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about the age difference, much
Yeah.
less yeah.
I'm sorry,
Tina's,
but that's just cray.
yeah, so that alone, the age difference would be a huge issue. And then the fact that he was African American and she was, adopting all these American,
Well, who cares about, like, I mean, I don't really care. She's obviously mixed race, so
Mhm.
who knows what she looked like as far as, like, her outward, appearance, but uh I will say that maybe they should have not had her, like, given her the Wi-Fi password and or taken her phone away or something. I'm really
I
like,
don't think they had any of that in 1989. Do you think?
oh yeah, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I just feel like I don't care about the ethnic difference because obviously there's the ethnic difference between the husband and the wife, her parents, but that age difference, a 15-year-old dating a 20-year-old, like,
Yeah, there was
bro.
so much. But I'm not saying it's not her, it's the parents that had a problem with his race.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
yeah, yeah. And, possibly, well, like I said, she rebelled, right, against them. So maybe some of her choices were influenced by how much can I piss them off? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Sure.
possibly, right?
Sure.
So Tina's father, Zane, wanted to arrange Tina as a marriage partner to a man from his hometown. Even Tina's elder sister started their dislike of her lifestyle. Her family had even sent people to take her out of a prom dance that she attended. Imagine that's pretty friggin' awful.
Mhm.
Zane held grudges against African Americans since he believed Palestinian business people had been targeted by Black criminals. So prior to his daughter's murder, Zane made telephone calls stating that Tina had damaged the honor of his family and needed to die. I mean, I just don't know. I guess when you're from that culture, it doesn't matter that it's your own blood. I don't know. They also, in addition to all the other things, her boyfriend, her lifestyle, they also opposed, they were not happy that she did not want to go into the family's grocery business. Tina Issa was buried at Sacred Heart Cemetery in Florissant. I did look this up, now I can't remember. Missouri, reportedly in a bridal gown. Her Brazilian
Ew,
mother said,
creepy.
yeah, her Brazilian mother said unmarried girls and women in Brazil who die are buried accordingly. The
Whoa.
family intentionally did not provide notice of the funeral to the media to ensure that only people from the family, the local Palestinian community, and people from Baytine attended. They expressly did not want Tina's boyfriend to attend. But unbeknownst to the Isas, the FBI had bugged the family's apartment due to Zane's membership in the Abu Nidal organization. The ANO was founded in 1974, named after its leader, as an offshoot of the Palestinian Liberation Organization.
Oh,
The group would go
interesting.
on to commit, yeah, the group would go on to commit dozens of terrorist attacks in 20 countries over the next 2 decades, ranging from assassinations to hijackings and kidnappings. Zain and Maria Issa were arrested after their stories did not match the evidence collected by investigators, specifically the presence of defensive wounds on Tina's body. Meanwhile, federal agents turned over their recordings of the family's apartment to local prosecutors. The FBI said its surveillance unit was not staffed at the time of Tina's murder and thus unable to react in time to the killing. So that's so unfortunate because they had bugged the family's the family's apartment was bugged
Wow.
and they couldn't help her. So they have it all on recording,
On
her
rec-
killing.
on record. Oh, that's crazy.
Isn't it? I mean,
I can't
how
imagine.
sick do you feel if you're a part of the surveillance team? They were already under surveillance. The parents were already under surveillance, but they weren't able to save this girl.
Well,
Um,
I'll say this. Every culture has like its taboos and things that are like deal breakers. And I will say that, there are a lot of cultures out there where bringing shame to your family is like the worst possible thing you could do. Now, I'm not excusing the father for killing you. So obviously I think that's crazy. Like that's just like crazy cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But
mhm.
I will also say that it's not the only culture where bringing shame on your family, we've talked about like Asian culture where it's like
Yeah,
sweep everything
very.
under the rug. Um,
Uh-huh.
you know,
To
I,
save
this
face.
yeah, this story really like hammers home. So I've talked about it just briefly, but I have a sibling that went to prison and someone in the family, I'm not going to say any names or anything, but someone said in the family, like if this had happened and we lived in South Korea at the time that this happened, we'd have to leave the country to escape the shame that this person has brought on the family. And then this person also said it would be better if this person had died. And I
Wow.
remember at the time hearing that thinking, that's so harsh. But at the same time, these are the cultural norms that this person had been brought up under. And they were an older generation than me. And while I don't have those cultural norms or beliefs, I can understand that that's how they were raised and how, you
Right.
know, you do everything to avoid any kind of scandal or
Shame.
shame.
Yeah. That's so interesting.
Hmm.
Wow. Yeah, that's why I said, yeah, that's why I started off that I was trying to find um a story, that was centered around an Asian family because yes, saving face and losing face, that's a huge deal in the Asian culture. So
Yeah.
wow. So when investigators and prosecutors reviewed the audio surveillance from the morning of November 6th, they were stunned. Not only did they hear the killing on tape, they learned Zane had attacked Tina while Maria held her down.
Mm.
Zane and Maria were charged with first-degree murder. At trial, jurors listened to the 7-minute audio recording despite objections from the defense. You can hear Tina fighting for her life against her parents. You hear her begging her mother to help her. And the last part of the tape, you hear her father, Zane, saying, die quickly, die quickly. Quiet little one, die, my daughter, die. Oh my gosh. The fact that her own mother helped hold her down while she was being stabbed is incredible. And of course, you can hear it on the internet if you want to hear the whole thing. It's
Ooh,
just so
gross.
sad. Yeah, I know it's heartbreaking. You can hear the tussle. You can hear her
Oh,
begging
so
her
you
mom.
listened to it?
I didn't listen to the whole thing. I didn't listen to the whole thing for this research, but I have heard it. The jury convicted Zane and Maria Issa on October 25th, 1991, and recommended the death penalty for both parents. 2 months later, on December 20th, the judge agreed with the jury's recommendation and sentenced them to death. Zane and Maria became only the second married couple in the country to be sentenced to die. The first couple was Ray and Faye Copeland, and they were also from Missouri. Zane died on February 17, 1997, due to complications from diabetes. Maria's sentence was reduced to life imprisonment. She died from reported natural causes on April 30th, 2014, at a women's prison in Vandalia, Missouri.
Interesting.
So, yeah, so going back, did you wanted to say something about the age difference or any?
Well,
Did you already say?
I don't know anything about what was going on with her, but she clearly really, really like rebelled against the conservative nature of her family life, etc. But again, this was well before cell phones. So I will say this, like, and I'm not trying to be flippant and I'm not trying to say there aren't kids that rebel, but knowing what we know about the formative years of a child's life, the first 5 to 6 years before they head off to school and start spending a good chunk of their day in the care of other people or around classmates, etc. I just wonder, children are not houseplants. You can't just water them once a day and expect them to toe the line. And maybe if they had lived in a country of one of the parents' origin where maybe the cultural norms were different or expectations of how a woman was supposed to be was different. But again, I feel like a lot of times we come up against these stories where people emigrate to a country that is not their country of origin. And it is a country that has a lot fewer cultural norms, like Canada or the United States or Scandinavia, for example. Those are the ones that come to mind because, you know, um, we're countries, especially Canada and the United States, that are more considered like melting pot countries, where a lot of people came from different countries and we all kind of formulated our own value system based on where we came from, but then we all kind of relaxed it a bit. It's so
Right.
interesting. It's like, on one hand, people will say, well, we wanted to better our children's lives and we wanted them to get a good education. We wanted to, be able to like make some money. We wanted to help the rest of our family emigrate. They have all these lists of criteria of why they emigrated, but it's so interesting that they still want to stay within the cultural norms of the old country, when that's not how it is when you immigrate. Remember, it's like, what did they expect? Again, I see it a lot because I have a lot of friends who are immigrants and their children are not immigrants. They're born and raised in this country and they have a different value system. They love their parents, they listen to their parents' stories, they can sympathize as much as they can with their parents' situation or stories. But again, it is not their story. They didn't
Right.
go through
Yeah.
that. They
Yeah.
don't identify with that. So I just wonder, like, did the mom and dad just think that, like, by virtue of the fact that this child was their child, that she was going to toe the line? I mean, remember, she's going to school, she's got friends, I mean, maybe they should have decided to homeschool her or restricted her access, because I've also heard of like very conservative families taking their daughters back to the country of origin, and the way they deal with rebellion is they just marry them off at 15 or 16.
That's what
And
he
it's
tried
like,
to do.
and it's crazy. It's like,
Oh no, sorry, that's not
you
what he tried to do. I'm thinking of
you
another
you
story.
brought the child to this country to give them an American life, American experience, and American education, but then you are not taking into consideration that they're going to be an American. So I just feel like there has to be like some kind of uh
Compromise.
yeah, like
Yeah.
a little give on the parents' side, because I mean, let's face it, Cheryl, how many 15-year-olds are, I mean, I'm not saying that all 15-year-olds have no common sense. I'm sure Malala Yousafzai had a lot of common sense. She seemed to have been born, and what's her name, Greta Thunberg. They seem to have been born 80, like 50-year-olds or 60-year-olds with like an otherworldly like maturity. But most 15-year-olds
Right. Most.
are not like those two women.
Right. And I'd like to say, so I don't know how much older her siblings were, but remember I said that her older sisters also didn't like her lifestyle. So she was really going against the entire family, not just her parents. But I would like to think that maybe, it was due to the time and things have changed. But as I started off earlier, the reason that the catalyst for talking about these two stories was that there was just something in the news a few months ago. So no, it has not changed, but I don't know, like, I guess, I don't know. It's just so sad. I can't even imagine how scared she was, that her own parents were doing this to her, and her mother was holding her.
Yeah, that's just mental. It's just crazy.
But don't, and I'm not trying to give her mother any type of pass, but it happens a lot, even just in American stories, just that like the wife might feel afraid of the husband, or she's somehow been brainwashed
Well,
into it,
it
or I
it
mean,
it definitely sounds like this was a situation where, I'm pretty sure that this family was doing nothing to assimilate, and the dude was in charge, and I think his wife was also pretty much under his thumb, because
yeah,
that is an extreme situation where somebody pops up with like a crazy, like off the charts like solution. It's like, oh, the dog peed on the couch, well, we're gonna have to put the dog down. Come
right,
on.
right. Yeah, it's just so hard to understand. I mean, I know they
I
have,
don't know if there's any way to understand. I don't think there's any understanding in this. Like
yeah,
it's
I just
just
don't
it's
get
just
it.
mental.
Yeah. Um, well, let's talk about another mental case. Her
Oh
name
goody.
was Her name was Noor al-Maleki. 20-year-old Noor Falah al-Maleki's family left Iraq when Noor was 4 years old and moved to the Phoenix, Arizona area in the
Oh,
mid
you know what? You don't even
1990s.
have to tell me the rest of the story. The heat. It was the heat. It got to them. It made them crazy. Next.
I think places like Arizona and Florida, they should have a heat defense.
Yes, that's right. I'm sorry, Your Honor. It was really hot. I couldn't breathe. I had to stab someone.
God, it's true, because sometimes I come close to murder myself
Right?
when it's in the. I'm telling you, I get so angry. I get angry, you guys,
Wow.
angry. You've heard of.
Well,
You've heard
you've got it on recording right here.
of. Oh my God! So Noor's father, Falah Hassan Al Maleki, originated from Basra,
Can I just say I'm
Iraq.
so impressed? Like, I mean, guys, Cheryl, if this had been 2 years ago, she would have not been able to pronounce that name. So
Well, who knows if I'm pronouncing it right? I'm just one of the things you do when you're not sure is just do it with confidence, and then
that's
maybe
right.
people will just.
That's right.
So, so her Noor's father originated from Iraq. Noor attended Dysart High School in El Mirage. Before her death, she attended Glendale Community College. Growing up, Noor was expected to clean, cook, and help to take care of her younger siblings, and according to her friends, she would be beaten if she did not. Noor had assimilated into American culture, but considered herself Muslim and was fluent in Arabic. Her father disapproved of the way she dressed and her social habits and reacted with anger to a photograph shared online of Noor with a group of male friends. The independent Noor refused to be controlled and left home. Noor's father had her go to Iraq. I confused the other story. So Noor's father had her go to Iraq to marry an older cousin. Remember you were saying that?
Oh
To,
yeah.
to, to fly them back and marry them off. So But she flew back to Arizona in 2008 and began dating someone of her own choosing. It's unclear whether the wedding actually took place in Iraq. In the spring of 2009, she moved into her own apartment but lost income when her family members turned up at her places of employment for forcing her to go back to her family's house. Most parents want their kids to get a job. You know what I mean?
Like get out of the house and off the couch.
Right. Make
Stop
your own
eating
money.
my favorite snacks.
But she goes, gets a job, but they turn up at her job, and she loses her job, so it forces her to go back to her family's house. It's all this control, right?
Yep.
So in June 2009, she moved into the household of other Iraqi Americans, the Khalafs, former friends of the family. And then she developed a romance with the son of the family, which upset her relatives. On October 20th, 2009, October 20, 2009, Noor was assisting her boyfriend's mother, Amal, with translation at an office of the Arizona Department of Economic Security. Police in Peoria, Arizona, rushed to the building in response to multiple 911 reports. Callers reported that a silver-colored Jeep had hit two women in the parking lot. Upon arrival, officers found two injured women on the ground. The victims were 20-year-old Noor Amaleki and her boyfriend's mother, Amal Khalaf, 43. They were rushed to the hospital. Amal would recover from her injuries, but sadly Noor would not, and she died on November 2nd. At the scene, detectives observed tire tracks and a toppled tree as they reconstructed the incident. Witnesses said the driver of the silver vehicle accelerated and aimed for the two women, and then the vehicle left the scene. Jesus. Noor's father, Falah, became the number one suspect. His phone records showed that he had been waiting in the parking lot for 45 minutes. Investigators found out that Falah's vehicle was found in Mexico, and DNA evidence on the vehicle matched Noor's. The manhunt for Falah went on for a week. On October 27, officials at Gatwick Airport in England reported that Falah got off a plane there, and he was put on the first flight back to the U.S. Falah initially claimed it was an accident, and he blamed Noor for the entire accident. I don't know what she jumped in front of his car. I mean, I don't know how I don't know how he blames her. But after quite some time and some discussion, he admitted to intentionally running over his daughter, Noor, and her boyfriend's mother, Amal. Falah was charged with first-degree premeditated murder and aggravated assault and leaving the scene. His trial began in January 2011. It was the first honor killing to be tried in the state of Arizona. Falah Amaleki was found not guilty of premeditated murder. He was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 34 and a half years. He died at age 63 on November 10th, 2024. I did not go and look into the trial, but I don't know how that wasn't premeditated. He was sitting there waiting for him to come out. Yeah, but he was sentenced to 34 and a half years. But
that's crazy.
Yeah. And, it's just crazy what people do when they've been caught and what they say. I don't know how.
Oh, yeah. It's what is it? It's like, what is the name of that book by Maya Angelou? I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. It's like literally I know that the book that she wrote has nothing to do with this, but it's so interesting. It's like chirp, 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 chirp. They put them in a room. They don't give them anything to eat or drink. It's very cold. I, for a while, was obsessed with watching those like police confessions, in those rooms.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
It's so interesting.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I specifically watched the Gypsy Rose Blanchard one, and I specifically watched the Chris Watts one.
Watts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's also like they bring in psychologists. They have two-way glass. They've got body language experts watching their reaction to things. I mean, it's really interesting.
It's fascinating. It really is. And it's interesting just based on the person's own personality if they crumble or not. Like Chris Watts, he was a noodle. I mean, that FBI agent, or I don't know if she was FBI, but the agent, the detective or officer that conducted his polygraph test,
Mm-hmm.
she just played Jedi mind tricks on him. She's like, Chris, you failed it, right? She handled him. I mean, she just did this psychological thing
Played
on
him
him.
like a piano.
Yeah. She was, you didn't pass it, right? So now's the time to tell me what happened. And
Yeah.
he just crumbled. It was like, all right, you're right. I mean, it was, yeah. But it's incredible that Noor's father tried to blame it on her. I don't understand. You were in the park. What were you doing there? And then,
Right.
yeah. So I didn't look into what he meant by that. I don't want to give that too much time, but because it was quite obvious, he ran her over again. Like the other
Yeah,
father
that's just
stabbed his daughter to death, and this one ran his Jeep over his daughter.
that's crazy.
I it's hard for us to understand, right? Because we're not men from these cultures. But I just don't know how you hold that knife in your hand and stab it into your own flesh and blood, or you get behind the wheel of a 2-ton, murder machine and run your own child over.
You know what,
The-
Cheryl? I think people need more hobbies. I think that no, seriously, I think that if they had a hobby or two that, like, it could be a sport like golfing or tennis where you could blow off steam. It could be something like playing guitar. There is a lot to be said for the therapeutic benefits of a hobby.
of crocheting.
Yeah, like just think, he could have been sitting in his car and
Crocheting.
he's plotting this terrible crime, and then he picks up his knitting needles and his crochet hook and he starts working on a rug, and next thing you know, he sees his daughter come out. But because he's focused on the creation of this beautiful like rug or whatever, now all of his aggression and hostility is like eased off. I just feel like, people don't have enough hobbies. Also, like, a lot of aggressive behavior and a lot of like anger can be really worked out through like doing
Exercise.
exercise, dance. If he had been a male ballet dancer, I'll guarantee you he would not have had time or energy to focus on all of his anger. Because being a ballet dancer is really hard work.
It is. It is. You need to write a book on ways to keep your stress down,
Yeah,
ways to keep
ways,
yourself from killing
ways to not kill people.
especially your own flesh and blood. That's
Yeah,
but
seriously.
it's I don't know. It's something we can't understand, right? We're not men from another culture. We're not men that. I don't know. I mean, this is like there's so many stories like this. I chose these two because they were in the
Well,
media a lot.
so I feel like these men maybe also have taken things to the level that is unacceptable in like in the effort to protect their daughters. So
Do you
I
think
don't.
these two stories are about protecting them though, or
Well,
just
I think they're
that
I think
they're
they're
not being
protecting
controlled?
they're
They're not being
protecting
controlled.
their family name. They're trying to protect their daughter's honor and dignity because obviously what is like, it's unacceptable for girls in those cultures to date before marriage. But I will also
And
say,
also, what sticks out to me is the dress, how they dressed, because that's a big thing, right? It's being
oh
covered up
yeah,
in their culture. So I can't imagine coming out here and seeing your daughter in crop top and mini skirts or whatever they happen to be wearing. I'm not saying that that's what they wore, but I'm
right.
sure anything westernized would be like um racy to them,
Right.
you know.
If you have, or anyone you know has ever been involved in an honor killing, yeah, that actually is a real crime.
Mm.
Yeah. So, and you'll probably be going to prison and not ever coming out. But you know what else is a crime?
What's that, Joy?
That we are out of time.
That is a crime. Well, thank you for listening, everyone, and don't complicate your day. All creativity, commentary, and opinions in this podcast belong to Cheryl and Joy. Music composed and mixed by Gabe McKeon. Logo and merch managed by Cheryl Yamaguchi. Podcast editing, advertising, and social media managed by Joy McKeon. Legal representation provided by John Bojezic. Please like, subscribe, follow, and listen. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible.com, Amazon Music, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. And remember, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok, or you can email us at murderandeverythingelse@gmail.com.
Bye, fishes.